Today, Borat returns. A sharp wit takes aim at America again.
Then Quibi. Wow, that was quick. What happened?
And the new iPhone. What's actually under the hood?
And Foxconn. Was the Wisconsin factory a scam?
I'm Steven Rosenbaum, and this is Future Forward.
I'm Alexis Guardado. Let's launch.
So I don't know if this is good news or bad news that there was so much news this week. We were like, holy crap, we could do 4 podcasts this Sunday morning. And we settled on these after some struggle because they were just fabulous.
Yeah, it was just too much. Can't keep up.
And we're kind of setting politics off to the side just because we figure that among our listeners, you've already all voted already.
Right. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, right. So I will say I did go to the polling place on the Upper West Side yesterday. The line was around the block. It's a school, and the line was around the block about 5 times. And I did not wait online for 4.5 hours because I was casing the joint so that I could return maybe in the middle of the week when hopefully it's not a weekend and it's a little bit slower. But I will, when I arrive to vote, I will wait online and I will not leave until my vote is counted.
So Glitch actually is off on election day, and I fully intend to be one of the first people in line in Pennsylvania.
So we're taking election day off as well. But given the fact that most of our team is early voting or voted already, I think it's mostly just, I don't even know what to watch the news. All right, but let's start with Borat. So I know a lot of people that were, what's the right word? Not entirely anxious was what I was going to say. It is he can be quite cringy.
He's always been that way.
Yes.
But maybe given the political climate, it's just, I don't know, like the tinder on a fire that's about to ignite.
And he's become more political and more public and more vocal about, for example, social media, which he's quite vocal about.
I was impressed. I mean, when he gave, I forgot what the context was, but he gave a speech on Facebook. And yes. I really felt like he just hit the nail on the head. He was articulate, informed, and I mean, he's a smart guy.
So I thought we'd start with the Rotten Tomatoes page, not because the numbers, if you were afraid to watch the Borat film, don't be. It's got a 91% tomato meter rating, which is awesome, and a 79% audience score, which is also really impressive. So fear not, among film critics and average film goers alike, viewers alike, you'll be in safe hands. That being said, I think the film raises some really interesting issues about truth and filmmaking and accuracy, and like it's not even exactly clear what it's almost a form unlike anything else you'll watch.
Right. Were you a fan of the previous movies?
I was, but I hadn't thought deeply about them until this one. I mean, it's not a documentary, right? It's not a scripted film. It's some complicated Borat-centric hybrid of, or actually Sacha Baron Cohen created format, which is a combination. And so we found this article. I wanted to think about how it was made. Like how did they get Giuliani into that hotel room?
It's weird because he hasn't done his shtick in so long, so people weren't expecting it. Or maybe because everything feels so absurd these days that everyone's just going with it.
So it's interesting. They shot the Giuliani scene at the Mark Hotel in New York, this little boutique high end kind of. So clearly a couple of things, right? If you're going to shoot with a crew in the Mark Hotel, you've got to tell somebody you're showing up with gear. So somebody at the Mark Hotel, did they know that it was Sacha Baron Cohen? And then it was, I mean, they what happens is they tell everyone versions of the little bits of the truth, right? They don't they say, we're making a documentary, we're making a film, it's with a famous actor, we're going to invite some people in to be interviewed. Like they have to get the paperwork done to be in the hotel.
Right.
But I'm not sure the hotel's in on it. Like the hotel doesn't know we're going to.
I don't think they would risk it.
No. But then when you say to Giuliani, hey, we're doing interviews at the Mark Hotel, that strangely makes him feel a little comfortable because that's his kind of place and it's a real hotel. It's, it's not the Holiday Inn, so that lures him in. Then he walks in and there's this woman who's, does he believe she's a real journalist? Did they check her credentials? Does anyone on his team say, before we agree to this interview, let's make sure that she has a backstory? I don't think so.
Definitely not. But at the same time, there's that narrative around fake news. And so any outlet that is not ABC, CNN, etc., and not Fox, I think they're so thirsty for attention. So, but again, just for those of you who have not seen this, you've probably seen clips of it now in the media. So I don't think we're giving anything away here, but there must be a moment where if you're in that chair and you're Giuliani, you go, this feels a little bit weird. This doesn't feel like was there a whole crew and people behind the cameras? And there was a whole video crew. She was a reporter theoretically. But then when they end up in the bedroom or in the, in the hotel, you could feel the quality of the camera change a little bit. So it gets a little grainy and seems a little more like a hidden camera. Right. I don't know. Maybe if you keep saying everything's fake news, then, and it's not true, then you just believe everything. It's reverse psychology.
So IndieWire did this great piece, which we'll put in the show notes, in which they went through a lot of the big scenes and deconstructed. They reached out to people that were in the scenes. They called the plastic surgeon's office. They tried to speak to as many people that they could reach about how they were involved in the film. And it's very, I mean, first of all, this will not surprise you, but there are some lawsuits.
Not surprising. Yeah. I feel like where there's a Giuliani, there's a lawsuit somewhere related.
Well, no, I was talking about the film. I mean, there's so here's and again, yeah, if as you watch the film, if you're a filmmaker, you find yourself going, wait a minute, the guy in the UPS store, he's not in on it because he's so, I mean, part of what Cohen does is he takes real people and then through some artifice loops them into the game. He either pays them or hires them as a actor but that whole scene in the UPS store where he's faxing Russia or Kazakhstan, clearly everyone's in on a little bit of it, and then everyone's kind of being played for the fool.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of like a more involved version of Punk'd. Remember with Ashton Kutcher? I think
it is. And by the way, part of what I found, I mean, I will learn more about this as stories come out about the film, but part of what I found fascinating is they shot the Giuliani interview in July. So that's not very long ago. So imagine you've got this story arc and it's a combination of what you can get people to do. You're trying to get people to do these scenes, but it's all leading up to this moment where he's going to, give his daughter to the, to Pence and then to Giuliani. if those things don't deliver in July, I mean, I assume you have some alternate ways to end the film, but it doesn't really pay off if there isn't a big finish. No pun intended.
Yeah, I mean it's all a gamble, but I think just I don't know, you have to applaud the attempts and the fact that it actually worked.
I mean, this is maybe a sign of our times that I'm about to say this sentence out loud, but the fact that Giuliani with his hands down his pants are filmmakers gold. Like, you know,
We've come a long way.
or gone backwards to the Stone Age. I there are so and by the way, if I said to you, "Hey Alexa, I'm working on a movie. I need you to come and play this role of being a outraged digital digerati person, and I'm going to have somebody famous come in and talk to you about it." Like, you might say yes to that. And you might even sign the paperwork, which would have lots of disclosures, and you can't sue me and whatever. But then as it starts to unravel, and you find out that the person who's coming in is the head of the Ku Klux Klan, right? Like you don't know the other side of the thing you've signed up for. So, for example, this is a little bit of a sad story, but so the woman who he interacts with about the Holocaust, the elderly Jewish woman who's wonderful in the film, I think was 89 when they filmed it and has since passed away. And the family is very upset and thinks she was taken advantage of because she should have not signed the papers she signed.
Oh,
I mean, probably not the way you want to remember your mom is as a character in a Sacha Baron Cohen movie, although I think she's lovely. All right. So do watch it. It is, the other thing, one more kind of inside baseball thing. I found myself at about 4 different occasions in the film thinking about the Amazon lawyers meetings. I mean, there must have been, the film is on Amazon Prime. The decision to release it this close to the election, which was clearly the strategy, and to have it be so political, which it clearly is, and so objectionable, and so much of a kind of a honey trap for lawyers and lawsuits. I mean, there must have been endless meetings, endless legal. Can we do that? Do we have did everyone sign a release? Can we see the release? Was there just head-pullingly difficult, miserable lawyer meetings.
Yeah, or they're also disorganized and all over the place that it actually was maybe easier.
No way.
No?
No way.
Okay.
No. No. In these big companies, there can be shortage of lots of resources, but lawyers is never one of them.
Okay. Oh, I will plug. So this is on Amazon Prime, but Sacha Baron Cohen is in another movie on Netflix, The Chicago 7, which is a new Sorkin film. So that's on my list.
Yeah, it's funny. I wrote it down this morning. And then to round out my weekend viewing, we watched American Utopia.
Ooh, have not seen that.
Which I have to say, I wish I'd seen it in the theater. Everyone who I know that went and saw it and said it was amazing, an amazing experience, but it was pretty damn good on TV. It was, if you're a Talking Heads David Byrne fan, which means, you're over the age of, I don't know, whatever it is, but he was and by the way, very political, which I guess I didn't know. Very political.
We have to do another pod on the theater experience. Broadway, movies, is it coming back? When's it coming back? Should it come back?
Yeah, it's funny. I have not a huge flat screen in my living room, but really good surround sound. And I just kept thinking, given the way I know that Spike Lee shot that theater experience, I wish that I had 2 more screens, one to my right and one to my left, and I could sit in some 3-dimensional, I wish that my living room could turn into an auditorium. All right, so let's move on to chapter 2, shall we?
Yeah. Quibi.
A brief moment of silence as we honor the passing of Quibi. A word that will be a trivia question in 2 years that no one will be able to answer. Why do you think Quibi crashed and burned?
I think you had a lot of, I don't mean for this to sound as ageist as it is, but I feel like you had a lot of people throwing money at a problem that they were not well equipped to solve, which is how are new audiences, how's Gen Z like tapping into media? And they spent a lot of money to learn things that they could have learned in a different way. Like if you think about like lean startups and just regular entrepreneurship, like you ship things and you sort of do things iteratively. Here, it was sort of let's take big Hollywood production and big Hollywood people and let's apply it to basically this notion that we can reach new audiences and compete in an already saturated market.
So I have two kind of different takes. One of the most senior executives there, I won't say who it was because he's a friend. I was talking to early before they had launched, and I said kind of in passing, "What are you guys thinking about for social media?" And he said very dismissively, "Oh, we just don't see that as our space." And I was like, "Okay, I wasn't asking the question as a like." So that was thing one, and then thing two is, if you look at what is successful in the new world of short form, and if you look at YouTube and you look at TikTok as an example, there have been some fundamental changes in the way content is created and shared. And I just think that they came in with an enormous checkbook and said, kind of simplistically, people watch stars, and we have access to Hollywood celebrities, big time Hollywood stars, and we will package them up in this new box, and we will be a big thing. And I signed up on launch day and watched, I don't know, about 30 seconds of 3 or 4 different shows, and that was all I needed. And I was like, this isn't for me. I'm not going back. And they did nothing. They did nothing to. And they had my. I mean, I was. I signed up for whatever it was, that first 90-day free trial. So they had 90 days to reapproach me with something, ask me a question, share something new to me, with me, and they did not.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is what happens sometimes when you have sort of titans of industries try to, I don't know, take their skills and talents and apply it to tech. Like maybe what you were saying is, you know what? Just because you're good at content doesn't mean that you understand new forms of distribution.
But I also think the language of content has changed. It's much more interactive. It's much more, I mean, to use a tried and true phrase, much more, quote, authentic. I just think, I think this felt very old school, top down, over, too glossy, too art directed, not I don't know, not handmade in any way. Very, the other, but we should, I mean, if you find Quibi in the history books, which you probably won't, but if you do, COVID-19 is definitely going to be one of the simple answers to why it failed.
Really though, because I feel like in the pandemic, people have been consuming content more than ever. And so if they were going to sort of time the market, this is really one of those events that would have worked in their favor.
Yes. I mean, so they were late. So I think they went through 4 CTOs. And so and the whole thing, and Katzenberg's public facing comments were, we're a mobile first, we're mobile. We're only going to be on iPhones. We're not going to have any kind of a desktop application. We're not going to have a TV application. And I think them getting to a desktop application and a flat screen application late and slowly was them being stubborn more than anything else.
Maybe not, or they just dismissed sort of what you were saying about content being social. Like the platform itself on mobile was not algorithmically driven, or at least it wasn't doing anything new or impressive. There was sort of like, if you signed up for Quibi and I signed up for Quibi, I don't think they were sophisticated enough to know that there's some Venn diagram of what you like and what I like, and to serve that to us.
No, and they also didn't do, no, it was not a technology company. It was a Hollywood content company, and they went out to try and quote sell their content when they were trying to shut it down, and I think they got a lot of yawns. So
yeah, no, I mean, in some ways, I applaud the effort in the sense that there is a lot of user-generated content on the web, and a lot of it is garbage. And so if Jeffrey Katzenberg and other Hollywood veterans wanted to just test the hypothesis, can we take big Hollywood dollars and apply it to mobile? I can understand why they wanted to do it. It's just in the execution. And like, what blows my mind just in terms of $2 billion in 6 months. So I saw this on Twitter. Someone said, wow, $2 billion in 6 months is $10 million a day, $455,000 an hour, $7,589 a minute, $126 a second.
That's a lot of, fruit and cheese in the trailer money.
And it was wild is if you do look at the top TikTokers and the top creators on YouTube, and these kids are like in these mega mansions and houses, like these creator compounds. I feel like if, they just sponsored them for like 10K a pop, they could have really experimented and had a lot of fresh content on the platform.
Yep. I concur.
For far less money.
All right. So we have 2 more things to go through. So we'll jump ahead. Let's talk about the iPhone.
Did you order one? Oh, wow. Steve, I know I can always count on you. You're such an early adopter with your gadgets.
I have early adopter tattooed on my head. Yes, it's true. So theoretically, this is the blue phone, but does it look blue to you? I don't find a lot of.
No.
I almost think maybe they shipped me the black one by mistake, but it has a slight bluish tinge if I'm trying to be optimistic. But
you know what? Our background on the screen is black and blue, like navy, and your phone is way more black than it is that navy color.
Yeah. That being said, first of all, whatever negative things you want to say about Apple, boy, on the logistics front, they are really unbelievably brilliant. Like shockingly, I ordered it. They confirmed the order. They gave me a shipping date. They gave me a tracking number. They told me when it shipped. They told me when it arrived. They shipped me the return box. I mean, just fucking amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it almost demonstrates like Amazon isn't the only company, right, that understands how to get things to customers when they expect it. Yeah.
My first experience is the transition from my 11 to my 12 was seamless. It works flawlessly out of the box. I don't know that it's dramatically different. I haven't gotten under the hood to play much with, like, I don't exactly understand why LiDAR is going to change my life, but I think you'll see some, like all these things, right? The phone gets out and then people build around the new technology. I'm excited about 5G.
Yeah. Well, so because I moved to rural Pennsylvania, I just have this like, I don't know if it's like a new take, but like I have such a strong feeling about the pace at which tech is moving and how much parts of the world need to catch up. Like when I hear 5G, I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even get one bar of service on LTE when I'm driving.
Yeah, no, 5G, like all technology changes, there's this, we know the cycle, right? There's the hype cycle, and then there's the early adopter cycle, and then there's the, oh my God, we have to deliver this to a lot of households
People.
far away from a urban center. Um, that being said, I'm I assume it will be a bumpy rollout, but I'm cautiously optimistic that the net result will be much faster, more connected phones. He says, with techno utopianism lurking in the background of his brain.
What about the camera? Like, do you feel like any camera improvements or battery improvements are noticeable, or was it really the jump from the 8 to the X?
So
Was
people say
bigger?
the battery is actually, there are issues with the battery. I haven't found them yet. But I went to wireless charging a year ago, and so I've got wireless chargers all over my house. And so my phone's mostly sitting on a charger a lot, which is probably bad. The camera has some improvements, but I haven't found them yet. I'm actually going to take Apple up on a one-on-one phone call, some kind of consultant thing, which I've never done before on a transition, just because I want to see. Because a lot of the camera stuff is like three layers deep. I mean, this is the software challenge of our day, which is how do you make the entry level part simple enough that most consumers don't go into the sub menus and go into the sub menus, and the camera uniqueness, groovy stuff is fairly deep in the menus.
Okay.
So we shall see. But
Mhm.
I'm a technologist. I run a technology group. Why would I not want to have the latest technology just to know where the world's going?
Right.
All right. Last but not least, this is the gem that you dug up, that we definitely have to talk about. Let's talk about Foxconn.
So I was in Maine on my honeymoon. Yes,
Yay!
loyal listeners.
I
Got
wasn't I
married.
wasn't I wasn't sure if I was allowed to say that or not. Okay, congratulations. That's wonderful.
I got married. I went on my honeymoon, so I was off the grid. That's why I've been absent the last couple weeks. But when I came back and I was just like digging through what I missed, this was just the story for me that jumped out. I The world is bizarre, and this is just more bizarre, I guess.
So explain it.
So I don't know, Steve, have you seen this?
I'd heard not a peep. I mean, I heard a little dribble of this maybe 7 or 8 months ago. But so let's set the audience up. This is the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation, uh, which has been, I can't exactly understand, like who. There's been a factory under construction in Wisconsin, a Foxconn factory that Trump made great noise about in 2018.
Right. The promise was we're going to have 13,000 employees. We're going to build these great LCD screens, and Foxconn is going to be the recipient of all these like tax subsidies. And so it's weird because Foxconn hired 550 of the 13,000 promised workers, and a lot of them were actually temp workers, like students. So like they actually laid them off after, period of time. And then when you go to the actual factory, you find out that there's nothing even being made there.
Is there a physical building?
Yeah, but they're like no LCD screens, and they're not 13,000 people, and the 550 people have since been let go.
So
So like like, think about how weird that is. Like, it's weird that government money benefited a corporation, that there was all of this hoopla. Like, look at this photo of executives and Trump saying this is going to be great for Wisconsin. And then here we are months later, and it is super not great.
All right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate. Is it a fraud? Is it a quote fake factory, or is it just the world market changed? Foxconn thought they needed a factory, then they decided they don't, and so now they've basically. I mean, like businesses do change trajectory of what they're building and what they need.
They do change, but when you are working with hardware, like in order for Apple to do what you did, they're operating on like a strategic operating plan that maybe has some tweaks in terms of like budget allocations and stuff, but like the commitment to have a physical plant, to have your supply chain go from A to B, but then all of a sudden switch from like C to J. Like, I don't know. I'm not a supply chain expert. I just, again, as an outsider looking at the facts, just in terms of what was communicated and then what actually happened, I just thought like, wow, this is just weird.
So, shocker, all of the, look, at the end of the day, here's the problem with this whole Trump economic hoo-ha. We're going to bring jobs back to America. Here's why I find that fictitious. If you go into a Walmart and you say, let's take everything out of the Walmart that comes from China and see what's left on the shelves would be empty. If you went into a Walmart and said, we're going to put an American-made X next to a Chinese-made X, a dining room lamp or a rug or just household stuff, you might, as a good American, pay a little bit more for it to be made in America, right? So if I said to you, here's a kind of an average, living room lamp you put by your couch. The one from China costs $31. The one from America costs $77.
Right.
Like if it was $41 or $36, like if it was marginally more money, but it's all based on the economics of what China's willing to put into their manufacturing economy, what U.S. workers expect, health and safety issues, all kinds of reasons. And I'm not suggesting that low cost, low wage, polluting employees are good things that we should support. But to ask people who are living on a living wage to pay dramatically more money to bring, quote, manufacturing back to America is just not going to happen.
Right.
So Foxconn building a factory in the U.S. was a good press release. But in hindsight, if you look at it, I don't think that they actually ever planned to build it. Ever.
Yeah, I mean, that's a theme, right? A lot of story, no substance.
Right. Photo op, big flag. Yeah. Moving on. All right. So let's just wrap things up. This has been really fun. I think vote is important. We've got
get your voting plan, bring your friends.
Watch 60 Minutes because that's going to be a fabulous shit show.
Or don't watch the like clips that you see that are maybe enough.
So are you like wandering around Pennsylvania? Are you like out and about?
You mean like, so I'm in a house, there's a downtown, I found a co-working space, and yeah, I'm just like settling in.
Well,
driving by a lot of Trump signs, like people like hardcore Trump support where I am right now.
If I were you, I might just go out and get a MAGA hat just to have it in the glove box in case you need to just whip it on.
So there's a store. We're one of 3 towns in Pennsylvania that has an actual Trump store.
I might ask to see pictures of that at some point.
I'm happy to FaceTime you and give you a live tour. Well, I can do that.
Oh my God. That might be fabulous or And in any case, everyone have a good week. Stay safe. We'll be back next week. Bye.